Hello everyone, this is Sarah coming to you live from Lake Louisiana, and I want to introduce you to somebody that's pretty special. Her name is Eva Mae, and I've been told I can't tell you how old she is, so we won't do that. But there are some things you need to know about this woman, and I want her to tell you in her own words. So Miss Eva Mae, you are my husband's grandmother.
Right.
Now, what is your maiden name? What were you born as?
Eva Mae Lambert.
Lambert. And you grew up in what community?
Sorrento, Louisiana.
And where did you go to school in high school?
Santa Mae Elementary and Santa Mae High School.
When you were how old, you got married to Dolphy Vicknair?
I was born in June. I was born June the 13th. On June the 11th, I married Doodlebug in 1945. I was 17 years old, 1 month from my 18th birthday.
Wow. So tell me a little bit about what was life like growing up in Sorrento, Louisiana when you were very young. What kind of house did you have? Did you have electricity and running water and all of that?
Yeah, we had a beautiful home. My dad built it. We had a 3-bedroom house where no one else had. He dug our water well. He was the water well driller. He invented the water well.
Wow.
The artesian well in 1927, the year of my birthday. And we lived a moderate life, really, because he was always in business. But growing up was not very nice. My dad was too strict. We never could have playmates unless our parents okayed it. We couldn't have them. So we were left alone where other children all got to play together. We never did. We were confined to our home life, really, because my mom and my dad had a restaurant. She had to be the cook, and we had to tell them that we were staying at home so they could trust it at home by ourselves. So we never had a child's life like other children. And as we grew up and got older, we finally got to be on our own later in life. But it was still not a life like other children had. And when I graduated and left home, I went to New Orleans, and I was like a butterfly because I wanted to flitter all over New Orleans because I'd never been out. This was when I graduated in 1944 and went to New Orleans immediately after and got a job. And I worked at H&R Bunk Shirt Factory. From there, I went to, 6 weeks later, I went to the PBY Catalina factory, and I worked on airplanes.
Right, and this is where I want to interject. You are looking at an original Rosie the Riveter. For those of you that are not familiar with this, you have probably seen the photo of the woman wearing a bandana and she has her arm up making a fist. And this happened during the war because so many men were off fighting the war. And so it was up to the women to go and build the airplanes and the boats. And this woman in front of you is one of those. So tell me a little bit about that. How did you get pulled into that? You were living in New Orleans?
In New Orleans. I moved to New Orleans. And when the factory opened up, I left making U.S. Army shirts and pants for the soldiers at the shirt factory, they called it. And I went to school for 3 weeks. That's all I had to go to school for, was 3 weeks. You had to go for 6 weeks, but I made it in 3. So they transferred me to the plant, and I was a Rosie the Riveter for 2 months. From there, I became an inspector. I was an airplane inspector. I had to tell them when they were ready to fly out to go to war. Well, I did that for a year. Then I came home and I said, well, I got enough. I'm going back to Mom and Dad. And I stayed with them for a year. Then I got married. Mm-hmm.
When you were growing up, both of your parents spoke French.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, they knew English.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They both spoke.
Now, but you spoke French, obviously. Was that your first language you learned, or did you learn a little of both?
Yes, that was the first I learned.
So did you get in trouble when you went to school if you spoke French?
No.
Okay, that's good, because I've heard stories where people did.
Now listen, well, the first 3 didn't know how to speak English when they started school. But I picked it up from my little friends that knew how to speak English. That's how I learned English.
Okay.
Was when my friends would come over to.
Right. Now, when you married and had children, you had 5 children, correct? 1 boy and 4 girls. Did you teach them French?
No. They picked up the few words that they learned by themselves. That's it.
Right.
Well, they knew when I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they knew when I was talking about because I speak in French.
Brigitte, that's right. And let me turn over. These are These are 2 of her babies. This is Miss Bridget and this is Jennifer. These are my husband's aunts. And of course, Eva Mae, I've known her ever since I met Mel. So she has always intrigued me because she doesn't like to talk about herself very much, and she's quite an amazing person. Now, here is something funny about her. Eva Mae is an amazing cook. Anything she makes is amazing. You make a great seafood gumbo, you make all kinds of things. But what is it about you don't eat most of what you cook?
Especially seafood.
Well,
you're not a fan of seafood, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah, she doesn't like it, but oh my gosh, if you ever taste anything she made. And your white beans, you're pretty much world famous for those.
They stay white.
Yes, they stay white. What is your secret? How do you keep them white? When I make them, they turn kind of brown. You're not going to give that up, are you?
Well, I don't know. No, and I don't wash white beans, cook them, and then throw the water away. I do not do that.
Right.
I just wash them in 2 water. That's all I can tell you. And they come out white. They're white. I've got a sister.
Another thing you need to know about Miss Eva Mae is she is got a green thumb like you would not believe. She used to have a nursery, and it was in Sorrento, correct? Because where she grew up. An amazing nursery that she had. She was also an incredible athlete. You played softball, right? And were there any other sports you played, or was softball the main one? Basketball. Volleyball.
I'd have played football a bit.
I don't know if you heard that. She said she'd have played football if they would have let her.
When you quit softball, 50? When you were in the 40s, you were 40 or 50 when you quit baseball?
I quit at 53. I was 53 years old when I quit playing softball.
53. I'm 49 and I can't imagine playing softball.
And I quit because the coach would never let the little girls on the bench play ball. I played the whole innings, you know. And one day, on a Tuesday, I'll never forget, I handed him a glove. Because the man was our coach at the time, a little Ramirez fellow. I handed him my glove and I said, I quit, Will. And he said, what? As of today, I'm handing in my glove. You can have it as a souvenir if you want. But he says, can you give me a reason? I said, it may not be a good reason for you, but it is for me. I really, really quit now. Give me your reason. I said, you see these girls sitting on that bench? They never get to play ball. They come out here and practice just like me. So.
All right, there was something else. Oh, I know. There's a great story that Miss Bridget has told me, and I want to ask you about it. I understand you were also an incredible seamstress. You made all of their clothes.
Wedding dresses?
I did.
Wedding dresses, everything.
I took in sewing. When I got tired of that, I quit.
Right. Tell me about when you used to go to the feed store, and that's how you would pick out some of their dresses.
Yeah.
Explain that to me, because people my age will not understand that. So how did that work?
Well, we had cows and we fed them the feed. And when the sack was empty, I'd take it and I'd rip it, the side. I'd wash the sack, and that's how I made their clothes. We had sack dresses, we called it. People think a sack dress is just, not today, it's, what do they call it? There's a name for it, they call it today. But we called it sack dresses, because that's all we could afford.
Well, I would.
Daddy took us there. Daddy, we would go with Daddy to the
Yeah,
food
to let him-
store. We got to pick out our own. That's what I loved. It was like, okay, Bridget, it's your turn to come with me. And it was like, we would be so excited. And they would open that door, and you'd go in that room, and it was like just feed sacks from ceiling to. And Daddy would go ahead, pick out the 2 that you want. And so you'd pick out the print that you wanted, and he'd put it.
So, all right, that's
for the cow.
what I'm trying to understand. So they made the feed sacks in all kinds of different patterns, colors.
With the feed,
I had, for the blood, I don't know where it is, I'm sure they threw it away, but I still had one of Jewel's dresses.
Wow.
And it was just a little sleeveless, a little pinafore, that's what it was. And I never could, I don't know, I don't think they picked it up, I'm sure they threw it all, threw it away. But I had kept that one little dress, because that was the last feed sack that we bought.
Wow.
And she had picked out gray and yellow. She loved gray, and I hated yellow. I hated yellow. And when she said, Mom, I want you to make me a dress without sleeves, she didn't know what it was called. So that's what I did. It was just a little sundress, pinafore-like, And I kept it. And I know they didn't keep it, but it was in a drawer in my dress. I said, I got to keep one, because that doodlebug said that. He said, Mama, this is the last feed sack we're going to have, because we're going to get rid of all the cows.
Wow. All right, well, I know that y'all are getting ready to head on, so what is your secret? You have lived a very long, good life.
Oh, nice, peaceful life.
And very peaceful life. And you have 5 children. You have how many grandchildren?
Oh, gosh, you got me now.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to make you think on that one.
Is it not? Unless you have one. No grandchildren. Bridge has, I had 4. Vet has 3 and Jewel has 2.
Okay.
Is it 9 or 7? Yeah, 9, I think.
I'm a journalist. I don't do math. And then how many great-grandchildren do you have? Just a guess. Anybody know? Jennifer, do you?
19 great-grandchildren.
19. And do you have any?
19, that's it.
Yeah. Do you have any great-great-grands?
No, but Lord, we want one. I'm hoping I can see
So
it.
you may have one out of wedlock, because I don't believe Whitney's going to have one.
He'll be too old. Oh, to have a baby. Well, he will.
All right, so give some good advice to people out there. What is worth worrying about in this world? Anything?
I would say, in my life, I have never